Well, there are two most important things. The first one is where you see yourself in 5 years, and where you are now. That's the second thing.
So today on the CoronaCast, I have Djordjo Iric, who is a civil engineer whose hobby is photography. And today we're going to be talking about a few things about the impact of the coronavirus on his life and how he started photography and how it became his passion. So hi, Djordjo. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So there's one question I think I ask everyone who comes on is what was the greatest impact of this pandemic on your life?
Well, the impact on my life wasn't that huge. I mean, the most important part of the impact was the limitation of going out during the day, and it was allowed only for several hours a day, and the fact that we were not able to travel between cities and out of the state, so there was a limitation of traffic between cities, and you could only travel if you had the document from your employment company. Luckily, I was able to have that of my own company.
Okay, so what is your story? How did you become a photographer, and how did you go from?
I was always interested in photography. Well, in the last year, I had an education from photography. I had a lot of classes, and I learned about the process of making a photo. The physics of the camera and how it functions, the technical details, and also the rules of composition of the photography, of taking a photo. And I kind of the love for photography it just got bigger by taking those classes and expanding my knowledge about it. So I decided to start to invest in the equipment and to start shooting and to start learning about how you do it.
Okay, so the Baltic region has always been a hotspot for conflicts and tension. There are people of multiple ethnicities in that region. So what do you think is the biggest misconception that people have?
Well, on the Balkans, there were always conflicts because of the bad politics in the last decades. So the politics, I don't know. It's like most people didn't hear about us in the world because we're so small. But some of them who did, they might think that we're some kind of, I don't know, savages or something, because there are always some troubles here happening. Well, I'm just kidding. We're not savages. We're normal, just any other people. But the biggest problem here is the bad regime. The politics and the non-existing industry, which leads to economics crisis throughout, and that's the core of the problems, politics.
Okay. So I was looking through the news about Montenegro, and I think from especially the bureaucracy, there's been this want for a separate identity, a separate church, and basically trying to create a unique identity different from this Serbian one.
Yeah.
So I have two questions, right? Do you think the first question is, are the people in Montenegro, can they be considered a different ethnicity from Serbians?
Well, no, the tensions between Montenegrin people and Serbian people never existed in reality. So it was all brought by propaganda from politics regime. They use it
Okay.
to manipulate the citizens in acquiring their political goals. So we already had Montenegrin identity, but what they want now is to create a new church by taking the property of a Serbian church that
Okay.
has been here for 8 centuries. So
Okay.
it's a very complex story to understand in a few sentences. So the reality is that both Montenegrin and Serbian people are practically the same people.
Is that we are living in a world which is filled with content, right? There are thousands of stock images out there,
Okay.
thousands of people putting beautiful sceneries. So in a basically in a sector that is so filled and saturated with content and actually quality content, how do you create your own niche? You know, where you
Well, well, the most important thing is to discover and decide what you like. You know what photos you like to take, and maybe better put what satisfies you. So, is that portrait or landscape or architecture or wildlife or sky or abstract or geometry or something else? So, but it is important that you decide what niche are you going to involve into, because otherwise you might get stuck and overwhelmed, not knowing your way forward.
so what is the motivation behind your photography? Is there any inspiration?
Well, the motivation is pure love. I enjoy doing it, and I have a sense of satisfaction when people like my photos. So I
Okay.
feel like I'm doing a good thing. That's it. It's simple.
Okay. So there's no deeper story per se.
No, nothing related to a specific thing only. You know, it's wider than that. It's simple. The love for doing something. There are a few crucial steps that I think everyone should take if they plan to involve themselves in photography. That would be uh, educate yourself on using every single option on your camera. Second
Okay.
one, educate yourself on how to properly use the camera on manual mode. So, uh, the three crucial f-stop, shutter speed, and ISO.
Okay.
So the third one would be learn how to take photographs and how to compose properly. The rule of thirds and few rules more. So the next one, I I don't know. It's not necessary, but I think it's very important to learn Lightroom for post-production of photos, because that gives your photos, I don't know, cinematic and artistic look.
Okay.
So, and after that, you just go and shoot photos often, and
Okay.
in that way you will find what you like to shoot. Find out what you like to shoot. That's it. There's
So
no.
I think you covered one of the answers to my question about is it important to know how to edit the photos and
Yeah. It's according to my opinion, it's very important, because otherwise the photos will not have this personal touch, personal impact from the photographer.
okay. So what's been the biggest learning from your time with photography? Is there anything, if you look back on, would you have done anything differently or something that people should keep in mind when they
Well,
start out?
well, I think it's also very simple. So the biggest learning is that you never stop learning. So there are always things that you don't know about and that can change your perspective and make you a better photographer. So never stop investigating and learning. And today you have a great number of photographers that you can look up to. You open Instagram and search, and you will find I don't know, 5 to 10 photographers that shoot things that you like, and you can see how they do it.
So what is the biggest piece of advice or mantra that you live your life by?
Well, there are two most important things. The first one is where you see yourself in 5 years, and where you are now. That's the second thing. And so the main thing is that you start working now, and you will see your progress in 6 months, and in 12 months, and in 2 years. It will be very visible, but you have to be patient and never stop working on your goals.
When people pick up a passion or a hobby, they find it very difficult to be able to balance it with their current job. So how do you know that you're giving enough time to your hobby, at the same time you don't undermine your main source of income or what you're doing currently?
Well, it is sometimes hard when you have a main job that is something different than the hobby that you do, and especially when that hobby doesn't bring you any money, like it is the situation with me now, because I'm just in the beginning of that journey. So it is very hard, and sometimes I barely sleep. So I have too much things to do, but the only thing that keeps me up is the motivation and the love for photography. So
Okay.
when you love something, you will find time to do it.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank you for coming on the podcast. I think you covered a lot about photography, balancing your work and your hobbies, as well as about the political situation in the Baltic, as well as in Montenegro.
No problem.
So
Thank you for
thank
having
you.
me, and good luck with the podcast.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure having you. Bye.
Yeah, goodbye.